Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, August 17th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 312 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is one of resistance, with Alaska Governor Bill Walker joining in on the club of state governors telling Attorney General Jeff Sessions to stick his anti-pot tactics where the LED grow lights don't shine. Governor Walker is joining the governors of Colorado and Washington in responding to a letter that Attorney General Sessions sent to each protesting their respective adult use marijuana systems. The Cannabist turned up copies of each of the governor's responses and is reporting that, like the letter sent by Washington State that I reported on yesterday, Alaska's response took the opportunity to refute many of the criticisms raised by Attorney General Sessions, pointing out that some of the data he was relying on was out of date and incomplete. Swing over to the Cannabist to see the full text of the responses sent by Washington State and Alaska. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Tom Angel over at MassRoots has a good story up about a small pixel of hypocrisy within the vast high-definition display that is the Trump administration's dumpster fire of a presidency, with the new report being released by the U.S. State Department that highlights some of the discrimination that marijuana users around the world experience when they mix their cannabis consumption with their spiritual practice. The 2016 Report on International Religious Freedom, released on Tuesday by the U.S. State Department, goes into detail on a number of cases around the world outside the United States where religious cannabis consumers face the risk of harassment, arrest, and even death, with one report out of Sierra Leone of a Rastafarian who was arrested for smoking marijuana and allegedly beaten to death in police custody. As Tom is reporting, the State Department goes out of its way to avoid looking at how spiritual marijuana consumers are discriminated in the U.S., what with federal officials actively discriminating against spiritual marijuana consumers in the U.S. That'd probably be a very easy report to write. Our final top story of the day keeps us in the capital city, where on Monday, the U.S. Attorney's Office in charge of the Washington, D.C. jurisdiction announced that it would be dropping charges against marijuana activist Adam Ettinger for the possession of marijuana. You might remember the story of Adam's arrest, which fell on April 20th and that came as part of a planned protest against the continuing prohibition of marijuana. Adam is a longtime D.C. activist and general rabble-rouser and was busted by police on April 20th with 78 joints that he planned to give away freely. Thankfully, Adam is a smart and experienced activist and made sure that the combined weight of his 78 joints was under 2 ounces, the allowable limit in Washington, D.C., leaving the Justice Department with little choice but to drop the charges. But also as a smart and experienced and busy activist, Adam has another charge to beat for a protest that came just a few days later on April 24th. He'll go up before the DC Superior Court to face that one down on September 11th. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media, which you know as the publishers of the MJ Today Media newsfeed, as well as this podcast and our weekly show, Marijuana Today. We're a very small, independent company with a laser focus on providing the best legal marijuana news and news-related services to our audience. As such, we rely on you to help us keep the lights on and the hosting bills paid through our patron listener program. You hear me mention it at the end of every show, but today I want to let you know how vital those listener-supported dollars actually are. I know how hard it is to make a buck these days, and I appreciate the hell out of every one of our awesome patron listeners who give their hard-earned money in support of our work every month. It really does, at this stage in our company, make the difference between being able to continue our work and not. Seriously, thank you for making this all possible. If you would like to finally get around and join in as a patron listener yourself, you just need to open up mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. And if you're a business owner or have a marketing budget to deploy in legal cannabis, then you should join our exclusive Century Club, those patron listeners giving at the $100 a month level and higher who enjoy getting $200 a month back in ad credits that never expire and that can be freely transferred to friends, colleagues, and clients. Again, just open up mjtodaydaily.com and hit that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. All right, time for the Blitz. According to a report released by the Nevada Department of Taxation, things could be moving a lot more smoothly for their freshly launched adult-use marijuana system. The report says that sales in medical marijuana dispensaries in the state have dropped 20 to 30% due to a distribution bottleneck that doesn't restock shops fast enough with as many of the different kinds of products that they need. This is a story well familiar to regular listeners, with the main industry impediment seeming to come from the lawsuits filed by the state liquor distributors, upset over their 18-month legislatively imposed monopoly not automatically applying during this early phase of the industry, when medical shops are allowed to sell to adult-use customers. This is a convoluted story at best, so swing over to the Reno Gazette-Journal for the full read if you're interested. Speaking of suboptimal marijuana industry launches, we have a good piece by Marijuana Business Daily that looks at the overlapping factors that have screwed up Hawaii's medical marijuana industry launch, with the state's 2 licensed dispensaries having to close down after less than a week of operations due to limited supply. I've reported on this one recently, but this latest article does a good job of pulling together all the reasons for the state's botched launch. We turn now to Canada, where a new report was released in the province of Ontario recommending that marijuana possession be decriminalized. Regular listeners know that Canada is on track to legalize adult-use marijuana nationwide next year, but maybe not that the country is leaving it up to the individual provinces to work out exactly how they would do so. This week, the Ontario division of the Canadian Mental Health Association recommended that Ontario officials decriminalize marijuana immediately, especially in the face of next year's plans to make cannabis fully legal. Click over to Leafly for a link to the full report. Denver's Westword has a good article refuting a recent quote made in an article in USA Today by Cherry Creek School District Superintendent Dr. Harry Bull, who said that legal marijuana taxes hadn't contributed any money to his school district. The quote was made in a bit of a hysterical prohibitionist piece published by the USA Today that relied on weak logic and faulty stats, and in the case of Dr. Bull, downright, bull. Westword did a little digging and found that the Cherry Creek School District received more than $125,000 in marijuana tax funding in the 2 fiscal years between 2014 and 2017, and will get more than $85,000 in pot tax funding this fiscal year. When asked about this fact, district spokesman Abe Smith said, quote, "The superintendent was making the point that the problem of school funding shortages is a complex challenge that cannot be solved by quick fixes, and that Cherry Creek has not seen a huge influx of money from the marijuana tax." Unquote. The state of Oregon has taken a huge step in a more progressive direction in terms of its drug policies by passing a new law that makes the possession of small amounts of any drugs a non-felony charge. The bill received bipartisan support in the state and even garnered the endorsement of the Oregon Association Chiefs of Police and the Oregon State Sheriff's Association. Congratulations to Kat Packer, former California coordinator of the Drug Policy Alliance, for being picked to lead the Los Angeles Department of Cannabis Regulation, a newly formed agency that will oversee LA's marijuana industry. The LA City Council voted 13-0 yesterday to confirm Ms. Packer. And finally for today, according to a new report put out by the Center for Responsive Politics, the amount of money being spent on marijuana policy lobbying took a sharp rise in the first half of this year, with $450,000 being spent on marijuana lobbyists, double the amount spent over the same period the previous year. Most of the growth has been attributed to Scott's Miracle-Gro, which has in recent years made substantial moves into the legal cannabis cultivation market, and which this year has already spent $210,000 from January through June, $90,000 more than their entire 2016 spend. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.